We've also, that's not the end to ranked what we've done. We've also ranked our best centre-backs this season.
Yeah, I found this one more difficult. I think we're quite spoilt for good wingers.
Yeah, we are. I thought position 4 and 5 were quite hard in this one.
I really struggled with this one, and some people might even laugh at this, but based on the game so far, there's some names that come the end of the year I don't think are going to be anywhere near this.
So I've based it on, it's not just like stats or who's got the most clean sheets or anything. I've based it on like even the centre-backs that I've seen play have impressed me this season.
Yeah. I've gone with sort of how solid or an impact I think they've had so far. So there's some big omissions here from me in terms of if I was going to rank you my top 5 centre-backs, there's quite a few here that aren't in my list.
Right.
Because I don't think that they warrant being top 5 so far. And I will start off with an honourable mention for me before I get into my list of 5 with Thiago Silva. I've not put him in yet because I think Chelsea haven't been the best, but I do think they've not been awful defensively.
No, they haven't. They've just struggled getting goals.
And I think his experience in that back line with a lot of young defenders and the fact that he's performing still to quite a good level at his age is really impressive. And I wanted to sort of give him a shout out despite the fact I think so far I've got a 5 that I've put ahead of him. So my number 5 spot, I've gone with a new signing in Pau Torres.
Okay.
I thought he got off to a horrible start and baptism of fire, getting levered by Newcastle in this first game of the season.
I might be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure he got brought on.
He only played like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But obviously then I'm thinking this is difficult. But then I think every game when they've been decent since then, Villa, he's started coming into his own. He even gets a goal this week.
It wasn't that long ago he was linked to United.
Yeah, I think it's a massive player for them to sign. And I think his impact has maybe gone under the radar a little bit because Villa are just quite good all over they seem to bring the right players in. They've got a great manager. So sort of what I give him his flowers there. I think he's been a good addition and great this season. Number 4, I've got Joachim Anderson from Crystal Palace.
Yeah, okay.
I obviously had him in my team of the season so far when we did that a number of weeks back. Since then, they've still been very resolute, hard to beat Palace. He got a goal at Old Trafford.
Got another goal, yeah.
I think
2 now.
Yeah, and that one at Old Trafford was a peach as much as we didn't want to see it. I think he has to be in the list, depending on where you put him is different. But ultimately, Palace aren't doing as well as the players in the teams from the other 3 that I'm going to mention. So at number 3, I've got Ruben Diaz. I think
it's weird though because I swear he didn't play for the first 3 or 4 games.
He had a few omissions in all of them, but that back line's been rotated quite a lot. Like Gvardiol's not played every single game. I'm also not convinced he's playing as a centre half when he plays.
He's played as left back more than anything, hasn't he?
Yeah, Akanji's missed a few. Ake plays on the left sometimes as well.
It's weird because you have to put a City centre back in there.
Yeah,
but it seems like he rotates that much. You don't even know who's playing now.
So when I was looking back at it just to check, I think he's the one that's featured most heavily out of those in the Premier League.
And when you watch Diaz, you can just see the organisation is 10 times better.
Yeah, and I do think, personally, I think if I was going off the best ones, and certainly with last year in mind, John Stones, I think, had the best year last year for them. But obviously he's only got his first feature of the season so far this week. So he can't make this list, but I think
maybe if you went like off the ranked and said like who are the best in the league off your opinion or off last season, you'd probably have Stones in there. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Went and won a treble, and he was absolutely immense last season. I think he was the best in the back line for City. But I've still got to have a City defender in because they're still, despite the fact we've been quite negative at times in the podcast because of the result, they're still up there.
Yeah.
They've still been pretty convincing for the most part of the season, even though they've not been at their best. So that's what gets him in. Number 2, I've got another new signing in Van der Ven for Spurs. I just think he's come in. I think Romero's getting a lot of plaudits at the moment, and I don't buy into it. I know people probably think I just don't like him, which I'm not his biggest fan.
I'm the same as you, though. I don't rate him that well. I know Match of the Day said yesterday of what I caught from it, saying, I think Danny Murphy said, this game he seems like he's getting more maturity as a player. And I was like, it's just one game. You can't say he's got maturity. Next game, he'll probably come out and get a red card.
Yeah, I personally think he's benefiting from a more composed line around him. It's not to say I think he's a horrible defender, but I think he's clumsy. I think he's one of those ones that's a bit of a liability for potentially a stinker of a challenge.
Yeah.
I think his head could go. So I think you're seeing him perform better because of the addition of Van der Ven. I think he is the one that is making the difference in the back line. Him and Vicario, I think.
Sometimes that's all it takes, you know. A really good centre-back next year to make you better.
Definitely. I think those seasons where Van Dijk was at his
I
best.
was about to say that. Van Dijk made Joe Gomez look amazing,
Yeah, I
didn't
think
he?
a lot of people got it confused that where they really rated Gomez and he was just playing along. I think maybe there's an even argument to say that's what Rafa Varane was sort of going through with Ramos. You know, I still really rate Rafa Varane as a defender, maybe not as much anymore, but I think he sort of got really heavy plaudits, and I think Ramos was still the one.
Yeah.
You know, he was just the partner there. Despite the fact he was good, I'm not knocking it completely, but yeah, Van der Ven, I think he's revolutionised the Spurs defence. Looks organised, looks like a really shrewd signing. My number one is Saliba.
Yeah, yeah.
Arsenal have been... When he came into Arsenal last year, the difference that it made...
You saw it in the very first game at Crystal Palace away, I think it was.
Straight away. And I think this season, he's come straight in. You know, now he's not injured. He's recovered going into the season. And I think he's one of them that stands out to me like a Ruben Diaz, like a Van Dijk. I'm not saying he's as good as them at the best. It's not the comparison I'm making. But when I'm thinking of what I would now consider to be the elite centre-backs in the league, he is the name that comes to mind now because I've not seen him have too many games where he does anything really wrong. He looks strong every game. And Arsenal are right up there again this season. And I think without him, the difference that Arsenal team has is just immeasurable. So he pips it just about for me. Yeah. That's my top 5 so far.
Yeah, I think he's great. I do Saliba. I said like if you went like who are the top centre backs in the league, you still say Saliba's there.
Yeah, it's
like,
not even just so far this season. He's in probably my top 5 anyway.
Yeah,
now.
And he's still young. Like to what he could probably achieve in his career is unthinkable, really.
Yeah.
Right. So this might shock you, but at number 5, I might say his name wrong here. Because I always thought it was Diassi, but it's got an S in it, so it's Disassi. Disassi. But yeah, if I said that wrong, apologies. But yeah, I think he's been great. Like you say, Chelsea haven't had much going forward, but they've also like kept a few clean sheets.
They've been quite tight.
They've been
tight,
hard to beat. I think him and Thiago Silva at the back have been great. They've pushed Colwell to left back, haven't they? Really?
Yeah.
So yeah, United was interested in him. I saw some clips and I was like, we need to get him, but hey ho, that didn't work out.
Didn't happen.
But yeah, he's been impressive. He plays out from the back as well. He's very good at that. 4th, I've actually got Thiago Silva. So you had an honourable mention, but I've actually put him in.
Yeah, and I think that's fair enough. He's brilliant, and I think since he's come to the Prem, he's been brilliant.
So
despite his age.
Yeah, I've been calling out for him to go in a 4 at the back because I'm a bit weird with 5 at the back. I always think if you're playing a 5 at the back, you've got a defender in there that can't really defend.
You would say so. Teams set up that way for a reason, don't they?
Yeah, and I think the only reason they were playing 5 at the back because Tuchel obviously had it, but I thought it was because his legs have gone, and with him playing a 5 at the back, it can kind of make up for that.
Yeah.
With his ball playing ability still there. I think it was great. But they've gone to a 4 at the back recently, and he still looks strong. Like,
yeah,
solid.
He's not the weak link.
No. And for what, 35 is he?
Oh, he's like 39.
Is he?
He's touching 40. He's 38, 39, Thiago Silva.
Wow.
That's what I mean.
That's why he had to be in my list. Like, honestly,
even though you thought he was 35.
Yeah, but even at 35, that's impressive.
Oh no, yeah, for sure, yeah.
Now he's number 1 now.
No, just for the sake of the integrity of the podcast, I'm going to Google it real quick for you.
Yeah.
And double
What,
check
should be 32?
Oh mate, honestly, we'll have to quit forever if he's. I'm sure, honestly, he's 38 or 39. He's getting on. Let me quickly check. It's not very professional, this, but we're going to do it anyway. 39.
Wow.
Yeah, it's unbelievable that.
Scrap the list. He's number 1. Right. So next, number 3, I've got Anderson.
Yeah, I think he has to be in. If you're making,
Did you have
a
him
list so
3
far.
as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's
I think
been
so,
great.
anyway.
Yeah, and he's another one that I think Arsenal won, if I remember correctly, their first game last season at Crystal Palace. It was 3-0 win.
Mm.
But Anderson, I think that was Anderson's first season I seen him anyway.
Yeah, I don't remember him until last season, or maybe the season before, but you definitely didn't have as much as an impact before.
Yeah, and I was very impressed when I saw him because I thought he was pinging balls everywhere, and I was like, wow,
Oh,
this could be the next like big centre back that's a ball playing centre back.
He'll get a move, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's just impressed me. That's why he's number 3, getting 2 goals, like you say. So my next 2 are the same as yours. So I've got Van de Ven. Impressed me. At first, I was like, his agility was a bit all over the place for me. It was like, is he got the same agility as Harry Maguire for me? I was like, this is a bit
slow.
dodgy, turning a bit slow. And I was like, he's probably not that fast either. And then the last 2 or 3 games, he's had moments where he's had to like sprint back and that. And I'm like, wow, he's actually fast. Like, I've got that completely wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's impressed me. And like say, Saliba number 1. I think you can't really say anything else. So he's like a Salah for me, being at the top.
I think so at the moment. Out of those big names, he's the one performing the best, I think.
And I've just realised I ain't even got a City centre-back in there.
I kind of put one in on the basis that I still think there's maybe an overreaction that because they've not hit the heights they have in previously, I think leaving one out would still be an over-exaggeration. Like, we look at the clean sheets so far, and whether that's what people think that says about your team defensively, you can still be good defensively and leak a goal.
Yeah.
But they're still up there. There's not been that many teams that have kept loads of clean sheets this year, and they still have. In 3 games, they've got 3 clean sheets.
It's weird. Like, I do rate a lot of their centre-backs. I think they're great. But there's always that thing on my mind, like, do they need to be that good if they've got 9% possession?
No, and I do think, I said it to you before, there's players in there, and City do this all over the pitch, it's not just the centre-halves, is there's players that come in and would be shit for other teams. You know, if we signed Nathan Ake, I'm telling you now, he'd be shit.
Yeah.
He just would. It would not have worked.
Like, everyone's raving about that Rico Lewis. Bet you any money if he was at another club, he wouldn't be great.
It'd be Brandon Williams for us.
Yeah.
You know, like, Pep gets the best out of everybody. He gets, and don't get me
What
wrong,
he did to Kyle Walker.
They also sign the players they need.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying that Ake would be the right signing for United, but they can sign players that, in my opinion, would not be game-changing, game-influencing players for other clubs.
No.
But they're such a good team and such a good setup that they kind of bring the best and get the best out of everybody. So.
Yeah. Sorry, I know I keep laughing. That keeps coming in my head.
It's because it's in the corner of your eye.
I know, I keep looking at it. Yeah, so, like you say, I think if you did it like who are your favourite centre-backs in the league, I'm probably going Stones and Diaz are probably the top of mine.
Yeah, Van Dijk gets in.
Van Dijk gets in, yeah.
I don't think he's quite been at his best.
He's not
so
been
far.
bad either because they haven't had a bad record at leaking goals, have they really? But
I've just seen a few moments, like a bit like the one this week. I know it's not him directly, but
it was a bit short, wasn't it, the pass?
And I've seen a few instances where he's either been turned or he's left it a bit short, and I'm thinking, you're not quite at your best at the moment.
Yeah, ever since that injury that Pickford gave him.
I still think he's not been as bad as people make out. I think there's an over-exaggeration, and I think maybe rival fans to Liverpool like to sort of hammer on about that because they go on about how good he is. But I do still think 8 games in, is he been one of the best in the league so far? Not for me.
In his prime, you arguably like one of the best.
Yeah,
he was great.
Maybe.